Welcome to the HK Citizen Podcast. You're listening to Things to Do in London. And today we're doing a deep dive into a brilliant stack of sources, primarily pulled together from hkcitizen.net. Our mission really is to unpack them and give you a clear picture of some, well, really exciting events and opportunities happening right here in London during the summer of 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're thinking of being in the city, maybe planning a trip, or even if you're just curious about what's on the horizon, this look at the material should be really useful for you.
Definitely. These sources paint such a vibrant picture, don't they? Major music festivals, significant cultural stuff, and even some, well, quite unique venues for private events.
There's a huge amount on offer, so we'll try and pull out the key bits of info to help you navigate it all.
Right then, let's get stuck in. Let's unpack this and dive straight into the music scene first, maybe, because London's iconic parks are set to be absolutely buzzing.
Sounds good.
First up, we've got BST Hyde Park. That's running through June and July 2025, right in Hyde Park.
Right. And the list of headliners that the sources detail is seriously impressive. It's like a who's who of current stars and, proper legends. You've got Olivia Rodrigo on Friday, 27 June.
Huge.
Yeah. And Zach Bryan is doing something quite remarkable back-to-back nights, Saturday 28 June and Sunday 29 June. They added that second show apparently due to demand.
Wow, phenomenal demand then. That tells you something.
It really does.
And then moving into July, the sources mention Noah Kahan on Friday the 4th. And Sabrina Carpenter is headlining two nights as well, Saturday 5 July and Sunday 6 July. The sources make a point of noting she's a double Grammy winner.
Yeah, which just underlines the sort of caliber of artists they've got playing here. It's not all, huge pop and folk acts either.
No.
No, there's all things orchestral on Thursday, 10 July. Offer something a bit different, classical, film music, that sort of thing. It shows the festival isn't just sticking to one lane.
Good point. Keeps it varied. And the legends just keep coming. Neil Young and the Chrome Hearts.
Oh, yes.
They're playing on Friday, 11 July. And the support is Yusuf Cat Stevens and Van Morrison. Just imagine that lineup in Hyde Park.
Incredible. And Stevie Wonder is there on Saturday, 12 July. That's part of his Love Like Teen song UK performances.
Amazing.
And then, maybe a massive moment for a lot of people, Jeff Lynne's ELO. They're scheduled for their final goodbye show on Sunday, 13 July.
Right, the very last one. So some truly significant events packed into just those few weeks.
Definitely. And what's clear from the sources is, if any of these names appeal, you probably need to act fast. They mentioned final tickets are remaining for some shows already.
Good tip. And the sources indicate the official festival app is the place to go for tickets, lineup, set times when they're released, obviously, and general event info.
Yeah, sounds like it's your essential guide for BST.
Makes sense.
And it's not just the big concerts. The sources also highlight the open house activities. They happen sort of around the main shows throughout the summer in Hyde Park.
Ah, yes. What does that involve?
Things like outdoor cinema, live music, DJs, theater, kids' activities, sports, well-being events, that kind of thing. So the park itself becomes this major hub, even when the main stage isn't live.
Brilliant. Okay, so that's BST. Now, shifting gears slightly, the sources also point us towards the LIDO Festival. That's over in Victoria Park, East London.
Yeah, different park, different vibe maybe. And this one's concentrated just in June 2025.
Right.
LIDO feels like it has perhaps a slightly different energy, leaning a bit more into electronic alternative sounds maybe.
Yeah.
Massive Attack kicks things off on Friday, 6 June.
Okay, big star.
Then Jamie XX is on Saturday, 7 June. And the sources list a really interesting array of support Arca, Sampha, Romy.
Yeah, I saw that. And what really caught my eye were the B2B sets mentioned. Skrillex and Naya Archives are both doing back-to-backs with Jamie X.
Exactly, which, for anyone into those scenes, that's incredibly exciting. It signals quite a unique curation, doesn't it?
Definitely suggests a sort of forward-thinking approach to the electronic programming side of things.
Totally. Then Friday, 13 June brings Outbreak Fest. The sources label that as a UK exclusive for headliners Turnstile, plus Danny Brown and others.
Okay, another exclusive. And Charli Duick's headlining Saturday, 14 June.
Yep. And London Grammar rounded off on Sunday, 15 June, with Celeste, Resin Murphy, and others listed alongside them.
So what's the general feel or ethos of LIDO, according to the sources?
Well, they describe it as being very fan-first, celebrating both globally loved artists and emerging talent, with a focus on community engagement, creativity, and also sustainability.
Right, so if you compare it with BST, you're seeing London offer two quite distinct major festival experiences in its parks, aren't you? Catering to different tastes within just a few weeks.
Absolutely. That contrast is really interesting. And like BST, the sources note that an app is the main way you get in for all the shows at LIDO.
Yeah, it really hammers home how digital stuff is just central to these big events now. You need the app.
Pretty much. So, okay, that gives you a flavor of the big music events. Shall we shift now from hurrah, sound, to sight and thought?
Let's do it. Culture and exhibitions.
Exactly. Because the sources give us a compelling look at what's happening there, too, over the summer. The V&A museums and the Design Museum seem to have some really significant exhibitions running.
Yes, at the V&A South Kensington, two really jumped out at me from the sources. First, Cartier. Now, that actually opens in April, but it runs right through the summer to November 16th, 2025.
And this is positioned as the UK's first major exhibition on Cartier in, nearly 30 years? Which tells you it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
The sources mention it explores the history, the creations of the jewelry and watch house, features over 350 objects, including, loans from the royal collection.
Wow. Sounds like a proper deep dive into luxury and craftsmanship. Probably quite dazzling.
I'd imagine so. Then, opening a bit later, June 7, 2025, and running right through into 2026, is Design and Disability.
Now, this sounds like a really vital exhibition.
It does. The sources state it centers disability as a culture and an identity, exploring how it engages with design, art, fashion, and more, from the 1940s right up to now.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how the sources highlight it's not just about designs for disabled people, but also shining a light on the contributions of disabled people to design and looking at this idea of design justice.
Right, so it prompts you to think more critically about inclusion and representation in that whole world.
Exactly. It offers a really powerful, different perspective.
Definitely. Then over at the Young V&A, the sources mention Making Egypt. That runs from February 15th to November 2nd, 2025. And this one's specifically flagged as family-focused.
Yeah, it explores how ancient Egypt still influences modern art and culture. Seems quite accessible, includes ancient artifacts alongside contemporary items, interactive bits like deciphering hieroglyphs.
Fun.
Yeah, connects history with today in a way that's designed to be engaging, especially for, younger audiences.
So from ancient history to contemporary social issues, the V&A seems to be covering a lot of ground then.
It certainly does.
Okay. Moving on to the Design Museum. The sources highlight a landmark exhibition called More Than Human. That's running from July 11th to October 6th, 2025.
Yeah, and this one sounds like it challenges a really fundamental idea in design. The core concept, as the sources explain it, is questioning human-centric design, exploring design for the benefit of all species and the environment.
That's a profound shift, isn't it? Moving beyond just us.
Totally. It's about shifting our perspective from designing only for human needs to designing with the entire living world in mind. The sources note the scale, too, over 140 works, more than 50 participants.
And it's organized into 3 sections to sort of guide you through this idea.
That's right. Being landscape, which looks at humans as, integrated parts of nature, not separate. Then making with the world, which delves into practical and speculative designs for other species and environments.
Okay.
And the third is shifting perspective, which really pushes you to consider how other species might actually perceive the world, encourages a kind of empathetic view beyond the human.
Fascinating. And the sources give some striking examples to bring it to life.
They do. Like an 8-meter mural discussing legal rights for waterways, a nature calendar showing natural events differently, and even a large-scale seaweed installation you can actually experience.
Those tangible examples really help grasp the concept, don't they?
Definitely. And the sources also mentioned accompanying events. There's a symposium and this Pollinator Pathmaker DIY edition planted nearby. It uses an algorithm to create gardens optimized for pollinators.
Wow, that's a practical application of more than human design right there. Really interesting.
It is, and if you look across all these exhibitions, collectively they suggest London's cultural institutions in summer 2025 are really engaging with some deep, timely themes: identity, history's influence, our relationship with the non-human world.
Yeah, using design and art to really provoke thought and offer new perspectives.
Spot on.
Okay, so that covers the big public events. But what about for those thinking about hosting their own gatherings? Or, corporate events in London this summer? The sources also give details on some rather unique venues for private hire.
They do. The first one highlighted is the Inner Temple, which isn't just, any old venue. It's a seriously historic estate. Dates back to the 13th century, Grade I listed buildings, part of the temple conservation area.
Wow, so you're getting proper history and architecture thrown in with your event space?
Pretty much. And the sources make a point of its unique central London location, offering privacy and tranquility right near the Thames. Sounds like a bit of an oasis.
It really does. And what are the options there for summer hire?
Well, the sources detail several, depending on your event size and type. There's the garden available May-June, holds up to 300 standing, good for drinks receptions, they say.
Okay.
Then the marquee, mid-June to July. That's more versatile, up to 600 standing or 150 seated, apparently even good for garden games.
Right, could be fun.
There's also the terrace, May to September, for 200 standing, with views across the estate. Plus Church Court, May to September, smaller, up to 60 standing, near Temple Church, quite a grand setting.
As something smaller.
Yeah, for more intimate things, the Pegasus Bar and Restaurant is available on weekends, holds up to 50 standing, and has a sun trap terrace, apparently.
Nice range of spaces then. And suitable for what kinds of events?
Sources note it's good for loads of things: summer parties, family celebrations, corporate team building, even christenings or weddings. They mention sample packages are available too, give you an idea of food like bowl food or pickup items and different drinks packages.
Seems quite comprehensive. And you can add extras.
Yeah, optional add-ons, and they recommend blank canvas entertainment via the sources. They even include practical details like 2 double bedrooms available for hire, £220 per night in 2025, which could be handy for guests.
Gives you a really full picture of the possibilities there. It sounds quite special.
It provides a deep look into a venue offering history, elegance, and surprising versatility right in the heart of the city. But then there's another option detailed in the sources, quite different in character. The Regent's Park Sports Hub.
Right, okay. This is described as London's largest outdoor sports facility, located within Grade I-listed parkland. So, trading the historic architecture for big green space.
Exactly. If you're planning something more active, this could be the one. The sources mention it's suitable for company sports days up to 200 guests, with options for BBQ and drinks.
Fun!
Also, exclusive cafe hire for up to 200 guests, and spaces for meetings or training for smaller groups up to about 40.
And presumably lots of sports pitches.
You bet. They list softball, rounders, and touch rugby available for hire, and you can hire equipment too.
Handy. What about the cafe itself?
The Hub Cafe sounds appealing for exclusive hire on weekday afternoons and evenings, holds up to 200, it's licensed, and offers what the sources describe as stunning 360-degree views across the park.
Nice. And function rooms, too.
Yep, available for various setups. And the sources' detailed, tailored menus are provided by Benugo. They even give examples for BBQs, Angus beef burgers, period chicken burgers, that sort of thing, alongside salads.
Okay, so the key here is really that combination of outdoor space, sports facilities, and catering options, all in a major central park.
Precisely.
What's fascinating about these two venue options, the Inner Temple and Regent's Park, is just the sheer contrast they present, isn't it?
Absolutely. From that quiet, historic grandeur of the Inner Temple to the vibrant, active, open space of the Sports Hub. They cater to completely different types of events, different aesthetics, really shows the range of private hire possibilities in London.
It really does highlight the breadth of spaces available, whether you're looking for something, steeped in history or focused on getting outdoors and being active. So pulling all this together from the sources, what does it mean for you, the listener? It seems incredibly clear that London in the summer of 2025 is going to be just overflowing with diverse activities and opportunities.
Yeah, whether your interest lies in catching global music superstars, exploring these really thought-provoking cultural exhibitions, or maybe finding that perfect, unique space for your own gathering or corporate event, these sources provide solid starting points.
Yeah, actual details.
Exactly. Dates, artists, themes, venue capacities, specific offerings. They help you move from just the idea of a London summer towards actual potential plans you can make.
It really feels like the sources give you a kind of framework, don't they, for building your own perfect London summer experience, tailored to whatever you're interested in or need.
Which I suppose raises an interesting question to think about. Considering the mix we've discussed, you've got ancient history at the V&A, centuries-old estates like Inner Temple, alongside cutting-edge contemporary culture at the festivals, and future-focused ideas at the Design Museum. How does this unique combination actually make London in the summer such a dynamic place? What other surprising contrasts or connections might you discover as you explore the city yourself this summer?
That's a great thought. Something to mull over as you perhaps start browsing those ticket sites or venue options we've talked about.
Indeed.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the sources covering London in summer 2025. We really hope unpacking all this material from hkcitizen.net has been helpful for your planning and discovery.
Yes, thank you for listening. Exploring these sources certainly brings the city's summer energy to life.
If you want to read more news content or analysis, you can always head over to our official website at hkcitizen.net or check out our various social media channels. But for now, thanks again for tuning into Things to Do in London. Goodbye.
Cheers. Goodbye.
This deep dive was produced in London.